there, it's Natasha and thank you so much for joining me today. I wanted to make a quick video today to show you how I create my own enamel hearts. Kind of like enamel dots but in the shape of hearts, and it's really simple. I use Nuvo drops because that's mainly what I have, but you could use the colour pops or any kind of product that is similar to this. I am creating hearts, so I'm going with this kind of pinkies, red, white and golds. I have already created lots and lots of these, but I'm going to show you how I create them today. Now I tend to create these ahead of time on a non-stick sheet, and then I just store them in a little plastic container. But these are the hearts once they are finished. They are slightly dimensional, just like a normal enamel dot really. And then yeah, you can make them in any size. You can make them big, you can make them little, and it works with the glitter drops, it works with the normal Nuvo drops. Yeah, so this is what I am creating. Now I'm just going to give you a quick bit of this at the beginning, and then I will show you how I put these on my cards as well. I'm using a non-stick sheet. This is the replacement mat for the Tim Holtz glass media mat. It's just a perfect size and a perfect little non-stick sheet. I'm using a little pokey tool, but you could also use these tools for rounding out flowers and foam. It's just got a little tiny kind of sharp end to it with a little ball on the end, but anything that is kind of really fine, a needle, anything you could use to shape these hearts is going to work. All I do is I add 3 dots in a kind of upside down triangle. So I add 2 at the top and then 1 at the bottom in the middle. And this is a real close-up of this. I just drag the left hand 2 together and then the right hand 1 down, and this is where I kind of just shape it. And I just again use the edge of the needle, the end of the pokey tool. The one that I'm using is the Kaisercraft. I think it's a die release tool. It's a very low price point. It's a couple of dollars, and this is my favorite, and I've had it for a fair while now. My friend Nicole actually bought this one for me. She sent it over from Australia to me because she really likes this one. She is actually a moderator on our Facebook page, and if you were inspired by this video, then you are welcome to share your pictures and videos with me, and our Facebook page is the best place that you are able to do that so that I can see the cards and things that you create. That is called, the page is called Come Crafting with Natasha, or I will leave a link to it down below and you can just click on it. Make sure you answer a couple of the questions, and that way we know it's not robots and it's actually you who wants to join our group, and then we would love to have you there. We have an amazing supportive community, so that is a great place to be able to show pictures and videos of things with our lovely big group of people. And then as I said, you can make these small, big. I do find that almost dragging down that bottom point into a little bit of a sharper point is good as well, but other than that I really just kind of move the needle around the sharp end to make the heart that I want. And any different colors, as I said, I've done these with the glitter ones, I've done these with the normal Nuvo drops. All of them seem to work really well, and I did it with the color pops. Those are from scrapbook.com. They work well too, and I think that's all the brands I've used. But as I said, if you've got any other product, then I mean feel free to give this a go too. And I just find that I don't actually make all of my enamel dots in advance. I just find that easy enough to do on the paper, but honestly when it comes to kind of creating this shape, they are really easy and tricky to muck up, but I don't want to muck up a card at the very last minute, so I tend to make these ahead of time in just a range of colors. Now, making a card today, I have these heart stacking dies. These ones just happen to be from Honeybee Stamps, and they're literally called stacking hearts, and I'm just going to pick 3 different sizes. Any hearts are going to work. You could even cut them out yourself. I have some spiced marmalade and picked raspberry distress oxide inks, of which I'm just going to do a little bit of a watercolor look. Now, I just created my own little non-stick sheet here because obviously I've just created those little Nuvo enamel dots, so I'm going to pop those to the side and let them dry on the sheet, and then once they have dried for I don't know, a few hours, depends on your climate where you live. It might be a couple of hours, it might be 1 hour, it might be overnight, depending on how warm or cold it is where you live. We are in autumn at the moment. We are heading into winter and the temperatures are getting colder here in New Zealand, sadly. And so it is not particularly warm where I live, so they definitely take a couple of hours at the moment. So as I was using my non-stick sheet elsewhere, then I just took a snap lock bag and put a piece of white paper on the inside so that I can see the colors really well. And this is just going to be my non-porous surface to create my watercolor looks with. So I've just dipped them in. I added plenty of water. I want this to be a background that I can die cut these hearts out of, and I did it right at the top, and I was able to get another 3 hearts out of this as well. And then my daughter was creating a project beside me, which is not unusual. She loves creating, and sometimes she chooses for it to be on camera, and sometimes she's already off and done something else with it before it gets on camera. So I have my 3 hearts here, and I just want to show you a few techniques that I'm going to do to these to give them a little bit of something for this card. So I have a stencil here. This is one of my most favorite techniques to do, and boy is it simple. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to take some of the picked raspberry and just pop it down on my stencil. I find just kind of brushing it across gets the best coverage, and then I'm just going to take 2 of the hearts away. Just focus on one at a time, add a light spritzing of water, pop the stencil ink side down onto my little heart, and then I'm just going to take a piece of paper towel and pop it so I can blot it down. This does a couple of things. 1, it stops my hands from getting all inky, but 2, it also cleans up any of the overspill that comes through the stencil as well, and then you get this gorgeous little pattern. And this is just, instead of actually inking through the stencil, you get the pattern of the stencil rather than the negative. So I'm going to do this. I add a little bit more water each time, but I don't even re-ink it up, so I just add the stencil down in a different place each time, and I'm able to do the medium heart, and then I also get a little bit on the smallest heart as well. Again, I don't even have to re-ink. I'm just going to use the ink that is already on there. So just a really fun technique that you can do with any stencil at all. If you don't want to ink through it, then you can get the actual print of the stencil instead. Another little trick that I can do, that I like to do when I just want to add a little bit more detail with things that I already have, seeing as I'm going to use some of the gold Nuvo drops on my card, I thought I would use these to create a little bit more texture too. So all I'm doing is just squirting a little bit out on my little non-stick sheet there, taking a makeup sponge to pick up just a little bit of that, and then stenciling through to get some of this pattern. Now, if you want this to be like really thick and gold and perfect, then I would suggest using a palette knife, but I just want a really light version of this so that when you turn it in the light, you kind of get the reflection of the gold Nuvo drops, and that means that I'm just going to use the makeup sponge rather than getting kind of dimension on them. So when you move it, you can see those gorgeous little diamonds. Just a little extra thing that I can do to create texture with things that I already basically have. And then again, I'm just going to go around these with the same picked raspberry color. I'm not really introducing any new colors here, staying along the same lines I've used in the same ink, using a finger dauber to go around the outside just to define that edge a little bit more. And then these are some of the rub-ons that I have. I absolutely love the vintage Artistry ones, and I think maybe one of these is available and one is sold out at the moment, but anything that you have that you can pop on top of these hearts. I was just looking at these and thinking I really liked the pinks from these, so I'm going to use a little bit of that and pop these on. I try to make a really conscious effort when I purchase a product like this that kind of needs used to actually make sure I go back and use it up rather than kind of picking the first bits that catch my eye and using it. I want to make sure that I keep coming back to it and keep using it up. Otherwise it becomes a really expensive project if I only use 1 or 2 things out of the packet. And I absolutely love these rub-ons. They are good quality. They really do last. I've seen a couple of the cards that I made 3 or 4 months later and nothing was peeling up or coming off or looking tatty around the edges. It was all looking really good, so that's what I was really pleased to see. Now they actually do come with a little scrapey tool in the package, but I just had my little tool here and I'm using the other end of it this time just to scrape on. And this is just some little stripy patterns, and then I pick some of those little doilies and I'm going to pop those onto just here, there and everywhere. Really, I was, depending on which video comes out first, you will see that I had these on my desk already because I was using them for some other projects. And so yeah, it's good to have them at the front of my mind and make sure that I'm using up the products that we choose to invest in. So I was adding just little bits here, there and everywhere, and these are kind of end up being like little mixed media hearts, I guess. In the comment section down below, I would love to know what are the things that are kind of sitting on your desk that you add to kind of every project going. You can kind of feel like they're really diverse and you're able to add them into lots of different projects and kind of for lots of different occasions and things, what kind of products do you find that that are really diverse and you can use in lots of different ways? I'd love to know. So if you let me know in the comment section down below. For me, I must admit, I think these rub-ons were a bit of a surprise. I've loved using them. I've come back to them time and time again, and I'm still using them. So anyway, I'm going to create a really just kind of subtle background here. I'm using some weathered wood and some Victorian velvet, and I'm really watering these down. I don't want this to be a big bright background. I also need to be just a little bit careful because this is not watercolor paper, this is just plain cardstock, and so I'm actually going to blot a lot of that color off and then make sure that I heat set this really well. I want to try and make sure that there is no moisture left in the paper because I'm going to show you a really fun technique. I don't think I've kind of shown this too many times on video before, but seeing as I had the Nuvo drops out on my table, and that's kind of my theme today, using what's out on my table, or it seems to be, I thought I would show you this one. So I'm starting off with kind of a base layer, a couple of really light colors. So I've got I think it's a blush bubblegum or bubblegum color or something, and a white color, and I have an old gift card there, or a plastic card, or a rewards card. Anything is going to work. Even a piece of strong cardboard is going to work if that's what you have. I put a little bit of pink and a little bit of white, and then I just do some swipes down and across, whichever way you want. This is really creating a base layer, and you can see that it creates a really nice little layer of shine. From there, I'm going to do the same technique, but this time I'm choosing some gold. And this one is going to show up a little bit better, but the shine from this one is going to be really gorgeous. Remember, I said that I wanted this to be a really subtle background, so I don't want this overtaking the hearts or anything, and that's why I've chosen these colors. If you want it to kind of stand out more, then obviously try and choose some brighter, bolder, darker colors, but I just want this to be the background. I am able to heat set this with my heat gun, and this is not going to crack or peel off or anything at all. The paper becomes really flexible, and I can kind of bend it around and nothing's going to crack. Yeah, it's a really nice background, and a simple background using things that we already have in our stash too. Once I have got my little card front panel good to go, I pop my 4 little pieces of tape and then 1 in the middle. I pop a little tab out each side so that I can get it all lined up and create the perfect border. At the moment, I have chosen to go with a really slim border. So this is cut down to maybe just over 4 by 5¼ inches. Then when I'm coming in to use my Paper Rose Sentiments, this is the all occasions one, and there is all occasions in here. As it says, there is everything that you could possibly wish for. It covers all sorts of occasions, and this one is going to say love you so much. Obviously, this is very fitting for the type of card that this is, and I just use my nice long bladed scissors to get in there and kind of cut those nice straight lines on either side of the sentiments, but you could use your trimmer as well if you found that much easier. And then when I was kind of putting everything together here, I just didn't like the border. It was too far too little. It didn't sit right with me. So I ripped it off, and it was okay. I cut this down just a tiny little bit further, added a little bit more double-sided adhesive to it, and then I'm going to pop this on a new card base. I'm able to do die cutting out of the old card base, so I'm not too worried at all. I don't find it wasted. And then this one, I have got a slightly bigger border, but I like that a whole lot better. That looks much more balanced to me. And then from here, I can kind of go ahead and put together the card. So there are some of my hearts on the side, and I'm going to pop my 3 little hearts that we created, and one of them I'm going to put down nice and flat using some multi-medium glue. This is the Ranger multi-medium in the matte finish, really nice strong glue. Then I'm going to add some foam tape to the other couple, and they are just going to kind of sit a little bit off to the right hand side, and then one up the top, and there's kind of a little floating, you know, bottom left corner to top right corner set of hearts. So to fill it in a little bit, that's where I'm going to use my little enamel heart dots that I created, and these are going to, as I said, they are slightly dimensional, pretty much the same as a normal enamel dot, or when you create dots using the Nuvo drops, it's got the same dimension as those. And I'm just going to sprinkle these up and down my card. You can see I've got different sizes, some are a little bit bigger, some are a little bit smaller, and I just attach these using the same matte medium, and as I said, that way I know that they aren't going anywhere at all. With my sentiment, I'm going to pop this on kind of in the middle or a little bit to the bottom left-ish. I've just got a little bit of foam tape on one side, and then the other I just have some liquid glue, and that way it'll sit nice and even with that heart that is already popped up with some foam. But when I move this card, look how gorgeous the gold Nuvo drops are in the background and that shine that we created. I don't think the background takes over at all, but when the recipient moves the card around, it just really has that extra gorgeous element that I think catches your eye. I'm going to sprinkle a couple more hearts. I thought I could fit a couple more in here, and I'm just kind of varying the colors and using some dark ones and some gold ones just to add a little bit of interest. Other than that, that is my card finished for today. I hope you enjoyed this, creating the little heart enamel drops with me. Thank you so much for joining me, and I really look forward to seeing you in the next video. Thanks, bye!